No reason.
You know what the fuck is going on, bro, like that.
Meg, I know you're probably never gonna talk to me again, but I generally want you to know I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart.
I'm thinking he's about to come over here and attack us.
Yeah, I don't know why the driver why he never made it up to the stand. That's like, isn't that weird?
Sexual relationship with Tory Lanez, yes, that's my question.
And then she's shaking her head, probably like, oh God, why is this bitch asking me this question?
I didn't have a sexual relationship with Tory.
He saw a flash and believes it was coming from one of the girls. He was firing everywhere. They cannot conclude that Tory's DNA isn't on the gun.
Sorry, that just upsets me.
It's okay.
No, it's okay.
You know, I can get tissue, or if you need a break, just let me know, okay?
Okay, so as you see, she's starting to cry and break down. Nick at Night exclusive.
Jeez, these door slams.
That's all right.
I was going around and just know what's up. Like I said, Kelsey, if you need a break or anything at the moment, or if you want to just get through this one.
No, I just want to get through it.
Okay.
So you said Megan appeared like calm. You were distraught. Let's take it from there.
She's like, Kelsey, call Ferris, which is, co-manager, manager, person that's with her every day. Sorry, I want to make sure I didn't lose my train of thought. So we're driving down. We were heading home, which was like at the top of the hill. I guess he made a U-turn or took another road off to where we ended up back on, I guess, Sunset Boulevard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where we're going. Just driving. We didn't really have a destination, but I believe I did say we need to take her to the hospital. So Megan, she says, Kelsey, call Ferris. I had already tried calling Ferris. We had bad signal, so it didn't go through. I had sent a text to her security. I sent a text to her security at the time.
Is that Justin?
That's Justin. And because they weren't answering the calls, so I think I said help 911. Tory shot Meg, or.
Do you still have that text?
I'll have to go through my old phone and.
I'm going to show you a photograph here. This is a document titled Text Message Justin Edison.
Mm-hmm.
Just take a look at that.
Nick at Night.
I believe that's it. I'll have to look at my.
Okay, but that looks like the message that you sent.
Yeah, I don't think it's edited or anything.
Okay, so you said help, Tory shot Meg, 911.
Right.
Okay.
Mind you, I didn't even know that there was already a call that had been made. So I sent him a text. I think I texted Travis Ferris. I think I texted him. I know I dropped him our location. And I also sent a message to my mom, and I was like, help. Just frustrates me because, I was really hurt. And they just make it seem like it's mentally, nothing. I sent a help message to my mom.
And when you say you were hurt, you were physically hurt, mentally hurt?
I didn't even realize I had bruises, but my adrenaline was so high. When I say hurt, I mean emotionally.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
I was scared,
What were you scared about when you're in that?
I don't know. I just was scared, everything that had just happened,
Do you remember what you texted your mom?
I think I still have the messages. It was on Facebook Messenger. Because my mom, she uses an Android, so she's always on Facebook, so I knew she could see it. I think I also sent her a help message.
Wow. Yeah. Oh man, dude. Again, Nika at Night. Thank you for posting that. Yeah, I don't think any of that supports Tory in any way. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm like trying to think what could possibly make us, what could possibly convince us from all the evidence, from all the statements and stuff, that it was Kelsey that did it. But I don't know, man. Like, I guess so. Like the argument that is being made for people that do support Tory would be like, Meg lied in her. You know, she lied initially by saying she stepped on glass. She lied in her interview when she was talking to Gail. She initially said that Tory shot her through the back window. Kelsey is an unreliable witness because she went from September interview to changing everything she said in the December trial. They said that Kelsey, you know, shot at Meg because Kelsey was mad that Tory had slept with the both of them. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like I think the opposite of all those arguments, I think that just makes way more sense to me than, you know, the arguments made for Tory being innocent. I don't know, man. I do know it does not look good. Okay, that was I'm so glad that I decided to cover this today, because I didn't have the access to all those like videos and all that stuff earlier. But cool, we got it. All right, now what? Kelsey describes Meg getting out of the Escalade, and she describes Tory shooting in detail. She says that she turned around the sound of the second or third gunshot and saw Tory on the right front passenger side shooting over the door. Asked if it was in Meg's direction, Kelsey said definitely in her direction. Yeah, definitely in her direction. She described fearing for her life as Tory pulled on her hair and neck because it was really hard. Kelsey is doing all the talking. The DA is barely saying anything, which we heard in the recordings. Kelsey talks about getting back to the Escalade with Meg and says we didn't have pushback about getting in the car and didn't even consider calling 911. LAPD officers pulled them over at gunpoint, and minutes later, and Kelsey was jailed and Meg was handcuffed in an ambulance. Again, regarding why this is all coming in, Tory's lawyers kept asking Kelsey in cross-examination if the DA's pressured her to incriminate Tory in an interview to save herself. The judge agreed prosecutors get to play the entire interview to show the jury what really happened. Again, like, we didn't have access. Like, we weren't at the trial or anything. We had the jury. They were there. They were able to make a judgment. They got to see and hear everything. So I'm going to have to respect the jury's decision in this one. Because, like, so far, the stuff that we do have access to, it still doesn't look good for Tory. I say this record from Kelsey is even worse. There is no way this is going to ever be played for the jury in full. If Tory's lawyer hadn't hounded her in the cross about changing her story to fit the prosecutor's case. So Tory's lawyer fudged this up. Regarding not trusting the police, Kelsey talks in the recording about the TMZ video when discussing the aftermath of LAPD pulling them over at gunpoint. Cops had her on the ground, and they actually have me spread my legs super wide. You can see in the clips. Regarding the TMZ video, I'm trying to figure out why I sat through 2 days of Kelsey's testimony, but the first time I see that video is not in the courtroom, but in my Twitter replies. It sure seems the video could have been evidence in the trial, albeit the prosecutors could have a way to find a way to authenticate in court, as in get a witness up there that can confirm it was filmed when it's said to have been filmed, and that really shows Kelsey and Meg. Ideally, this would be done through a person who filmed it. Maybe there's another way to do it, but the person who filmed it would be the best. I saw a tweet last night regarding Tory's Insta comment, but that said, it's another example of Black culture coming up with the evidence. Given all the huge interest in this, does anyone know if the person who actually filmed that video has spoken publicly about it, or is their identity at least known by some people? It's of course fortunately to get in trial, but I'm interested in exactly how prosecutors could have figured a way to authenticate it through a short witness, then ask Kelsey about it in testimony. One thing that absolutely should have come in is what Gabby and the others point out regarding the lyric that Tory's lawyer quoted from Kelsey's diss track against Meg. Tory's lawyer like cherry picked some lyrics from Kelsey's diss track against Meg by saying that, like, see, look, Kelsey's basically saying that, like, she's gonna shoot Meg or she shot Meg or something like that. But if you look at the entire lyrics, it actually is all about her not being the one that shot Meg, like that she didn't do it. The prosecutor actually cited his caseload when explaining to the judge why it had been overlooked. Just like Tory's lawyer's cross of that LAPD detective regarding the Instagram comment, the whole thing seems silly to the gallery. It's a reply from Tory's verified account. What kind of deep dive investigation, detailed police report was needed about it? But it was also surprising how unprepared the detective was. Oh, this was the Tory's reply saying that saying that Kelsey didn't do it. But then I guess Tory's lawyer was like, well, how do you know it was Tory that actually wrote that comment? How do you know it's actually his account or stuff like that, I guess, right? Man. Gosh, we're almost done. This is Nancy Dillon. Oh, I did want to mention that they did have a forensics guy go up there and say that they cannot conclude that Tory's DNA isn't on the gun. However, they did say that they would have expected clear DNA profile if he picked it up and fired it 5 times. Although another expert witness goes up on the stand and say that I think another expert goes up on the stand and say that they're not surprised that there was no DNA profile on the gun. But I did want to mention that. Oh, just kidding. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry, I messed it up. The driver wasn't the one that went missing. The one that went missing was Meg's ex-bodyguard, the one that was a recipient of Kelsey's text messages. Sorry, I got it mixed up. I don't know why the driver was, I don't know why he never was called, why he never made it up to the stand. That's isn't that weird? That's so weird to me, but maybe something happened and we don't know. But yeah. No DNA for anyone? Well, it was a bit okay, I think one expert witness said that there was a female profile DNA and a man's DNA on the gun, but then another expert witness said that oh, that's not true. Oh man, I wonder if it should be in the tweets somewhere. Sorry, I'm just pulling out of memory. All right, guys, so I did mess up. It wasn't the driver that went missing. It was the bodyguard, Meg's bodyguard, former bodyguard, who got the messages from Kelsey that said oh, help, Tory shot Meg. Okay, sorry. He was the one that went missing, but I don't think he was really important anyways because well, actually, you know what? Maybe he was important. I wonder if he was the same person that Tory went to go pick up his shit from someone's house, and apparently he told someone that he shot Meg. So I wonder if it was this bodyguard. Day 6 of Tory Lanez trial. All right, this is day 6. The morning session started off with Officer Sandra Cabral being called back for additional questioning, specifically around the vantage point of Cabral's body cam footage the night of the shooting. Body cam played in the court shows Officer Cabral cuffing Kelsey. Cabral described Kelsey as being distraught, crying. From a different officer's body cam from a different vantage point, Meg can be seen seated, cuffed and bleeding from her feet, then limping past Kelsey toward the ambulance. On the body cam video, Kelsey can be heard saying, "Megan, are you okay?" as Meg was being guided by Kelsey on the way to the ambulance. Meg answers, "Yeah." Prosecutor then admitted evidence of a photo of the vehicle left passenger side with the step rail along the side and asked Cabral, would it elevate someone? So again, I guess the step rail is important because it's possible that Tory Lanez stepped on the step rail of the Escalade to shoot over the window. But I think it's possible that he could have just stood from where the floor of the floor mats were and just stepped on that to shoot over the window. When defense attorney George Magdesian cross-examined, he repeatedly asked Cabral if Cabral heard a conversation between Kelsey and Tory as they were all cuffed and lined up on the sidewalk, standing a few feet away from each other. Cabral, I don't recall. Magdesian questions validity of Cabral's answer since she was brought here to attest the footage. Cabral says she only remembers Peterson's, which was Peterson again? Oh, Cabral says she only remembers Tory's, no, right? Tory, I think that's his real last name. Remembers Tory's head being down. Attorney asked if Cabral remembers Tory's demeanor that night. Officers couldn't gauge much. I didn't talk to him. Next, prosecutor called back investigator Jody Little to testify about reviewing the lyrics of Kelsey Harris's November 2020 song Bussin' Back. So this is her diss track towards Meg. This is the same song Magdesian mentioned of Kelsey when she was on the stand last week. So again, I guess Tory's lawyers were trying to say that this diss track mentioned that I guess Kelsey owns up to doing what she did to Megan. But if you look at the entire lyrics, she specifically said no. The prosecutor specifically drew attention to the lyrics, "Who shot ya? Because you know it wasn't me. I was 10 toes down whenever you had beef." When Magdesian cross-examined, he asked Little about the other lyrics. Sucking D behind my back, who really on they knees? This got a little snicker from some of the members of the public. When McDeacon questioned Little about other lyrics that mentioned lying, Little says, I did not commit lyrics to memory. McDeacon gets very frustrated with Little over and over. A lot of raised eyebrows, chuckles, and head shaking. Coming back from lunch, the continuation of the trial was delayed for an hour before the hearing from the next witness, Eric Culberson, aka celeb stylist EJ King. So Eric Culberson, or EJ, they also went to the party, to Kylie Jenner's party, or gathering, as Kelsey would say it. So they were present there as well to attest to, you know, like Megan's demeanor and like Kelsey and whether or not Tory wanted to leave or not. So we'll get there. Worth noting, prosecutors haven't arrested their case yet, but EJ, Meg's former stylist, was a witness subpoenaed to be in court by the defense. Oh, interesting. McDeacon starts off by asking about EJ, how he, Meg, and Kelsey protect themselves when they don't move with security. We protect ourselves. We'd have tasers, mace. McDeacon, any other weapons? Culberson, not that I recall. McDeacon, what about a handgun? Not that I recall. McDeacon asked him if he's ever seen anything that resembles a firearm in Kelsey or Meg's possession. Possibly, but it's not my business. Going to the night of the party, EJ corroborated that he, Kelsey, and Meg all went to Kylie's and stayed longer than any other guest. No gunshot residue test performed on anyone. They found gunshot residue on Tory and on Kelsey. But here's the thing. I don't know, like, I don't know how gunshot residue works, but from what I've heard, someone says that when you shoot a gun, the residue kind of goes like everywhere. So it's possible that, let's say, like Tory shot the gun outside the door of the Escalade, and then later on, when him and Kelsey got into altercation, maybe some of that residue transferred onto her because they were like fighting, and he was like, you know, grabbing her by the neck and stuff like that. Like, I don't know where they found gun residue, but they did find gun residue on Kelsey and on Tory. But they did not test Kelsey's DNA, I think, on the gun. I remember Corey Gamble insinuated to wrap up the party. Again, Corey Gamble is Kylie's like sort of stepdad. He's dating Kris Jenner. I don't know if they're still dating though. Before Tory even arrived to Kylie's, which was around 8 or 9 p.m. EJ says he repeatedly urged Megan to leave. I don't feel like the last black people in somebody's house. EJ, who says he doesn't drink, was already on alert because he witnessed Megan intoxicated, making a slight comment to Kylie Jenner one point after Kelsey told Kylie, "You're fun, you're a vibe." Meg followed by saying, "I'm really glad because I thought you were lame." I don't know if that's like even that big of a slight, but okay. When cross-examined by the prosecutor, EJ describes Kelsey as a happy drunk. Kelsey is just a little Tasmanian devil, a short, wild party starter. But she has a lot of bark, so she can cuss you out. Prosecutor, ever seen her with any bite? EJ, no. EJ says that he helped Kelsey upstairs to lie down in the same room where the three of them left luggage. So this is when Kelsey, so far it seems like what EJ is saying and what Kelsey is saying is corroborating with each other. Because Kelsey said that, like, you know, they were at the party. Kelsey like passed out upstairs because she was like too drunk. And then she said that, like, you know, Megan was like acting a little spicy that night. EJ also noted that he packed Megan's bag, not Kelsey's. When asked about seeing a gun in those bags, he says, "I don't recall." EJ says that when Tory arrived, so again, Tory arrives later because Meg calls Tory to like, "Oh, come hang out with us at like Kylie's house." Both Kylie and Meg were happy to see him. Meg started drinking again with Tory. Then EJ's noticed Meg's energy shifted from fun Megan to irritated Megan. So again, with Megan's testimony, Megan said that like she couldn't care less if, you know, Tory was flirting with Kylie. But here's EJ and Kelsey kind of like saying the same thing. Said Meg can be aggressive when faded past a certain point. Magdesian, I think you said Megan's a different person when she's drunk. EJ, yes, when she's past the faded point. Magdesian, was she past the faded point that day? EJ, yes. EJ says in trying to get them to leave the house, Meg didn't want to leave without Tory. So again, that corroborates with what Kelsey was saying. And told EJ to move their luggage from his car to Tory's. I mean, I don't know. It's possible that maybe Megan was just really effed up at this point. Maybe she don't remember or something, or she'd be lying. Corroborating Kelsey's testimony, he says that Kelsey, Meg left with Tory's driver first without Tory. Again, so they all left, and then of course, they all left, and then Meg, I guess she was like, you know, they're saying that she was pissed and she wanted to go back and like get her stuff, and then she wanted to grab Tory as well, but yeah, we don't know. And that he pulled out behind them and told Kelsey, text me when you get home. So this is important. EJ does not leave with all of them. EJ, you know, leaves separately. EJ says he is irritated by the notion that he left before Meg and Kelsey. He was always supposed to drive them home. Tory wasn't a plan. So EJ is supposed to be driving Kelsey and Meg home, and that, you know, Tory being there wasn't part of the plan, I guess. McDeasian asked EJ about how he first met Tory at Rock Nation brunch and Tory's character. McDeasian, does it ever seem that Tory was dangerous? EJ, no. Before I knew Tory, I thought he was an a-hole. I didn't care for him too much, but since we were with him through quarantine, seeing how he was with Megan, I realized he was a good guy, EJ said. Prosecutor, have you ever hung out with Tory without Megan? EJ, no. Prosecutor, ever been in his car? EJ, no. And EJ says he did not check the front console of the car when loading the luggage into the trunk that night. Finally, during redirect, McDeasian showed EJ a photo of the bloodied luggage and LV bag from the crime scene. The luggage is located in the back seat of the passenger. Oh, and that's the luggage that we saw, by the way, the bloody one. EJ says this is not where he originally loaded it in. McDeasian, have you seen Tory with a gun? EJ, no. McDeasian, have you ever heard him discuss firearms? EJ, no. McDeasian, has Megan ever told you he has a gun? No. Recross from prosecutor. Did you see the big gun he has tattooed on the side of his chest? EJ, no, I never looked at his body. One of the McDeasian's final questions. Have you ever been around Kelsey or Megan when they're fighting over a man? EJ, no. Lastly, after the jury exited for the day, prosecutors attempt to add felony witness tampering charges based on Tory allegedly trying to bribe Megan and Kelsey with $1 million as hush money. But the judge denied the motion, said it was too late. All right. So that was December 19th. That was day 6. Now we're going to move on to day 7. Now, this was also a crap storm as well. So we finally get, I think, witness number 11 at this point. This is one of the neighbors that witnessed the maybe altercation. I don't know. So they must have been so loud that people were coming out to check it out before the gunshots were fired. But the reason why this was a crap show is because the defense, Tory Lanez and his lawyers, they called on this guy on behalf of their witness team, and I don't think they expected the guy to say what he says next. And let's get to that now, because it was a crap show. All right, it was a crap show. All right, so we are on day 7 of the trial. And this is EJ, by the way, wearing having nice long beautiful hair. There's some frills on his neck, like a little turtleneck thing, and wearing a pink blazer, looking all fire. Notable, EJ took the stand after 70 minutes of a packed gallery sitting outside and wondering what happened to the 1:30 start time. Tory's lawyer, McDeasian, said something in exam that made me realize what the delay was about. When we were upstairs a few minutes ago, ... Why would McDeasian be meeting with a witness who McDeasian empathized in questioning under subpoena and didn't want to be here? Who wants to be in court, EJ said, just before this testimony. It likely has to do with the offer of proof, legal concept. Michael Avenatti had to do it with Judge Selna when he wanted to make a couple federal agents not assigned to this case fly across the country to testify. Attorneys disclose privately why they want witness, as in what's the benefit to their case. Judge decides whether to allow. Given EJ's lack of first-hand knowledge about the shooting, the prosecutors likely wanted McDeasian to provide an offer of proof to judge about why EJ should be allowed to testify. Oh, okay. All right, let me scroll down. Oh man, I'm getting so hungry. The Tory Lanez, the trial is on a standard 90-minute break. The defense witness, again, this is the witness for the defense team for Tory Lanez, Sean Kelly, due back on the stand at 1:30. Kelly's testimony does not appear to be going quite how Tory's lawyers would have hoped it would. Sir, did you see the shorter guy with a gun in his hand? Yes. That Q&A between McDeasian and Sean Kelly occurred after Kelly said he awoke to noises, saw two women violently fighting by the car. He saw a flash and believes it was coming from one of the girls. So a lot of people harped on this testimony right here. Like, oh, see, the two women were fighting. Oh, see, one of the flash came from one of the girls. So this must be Kelsey shooting the gun. All right. Anyways. But his statement, his testimony is pretty, it's pretty problematic. But anyways. So this is what he says. They were pulling their hair and hitting each other. It was quite violent. Kelly said he saw the driver exit wearing all black and he joined the fray. Kelly was scared and he asked his son to come into his room. He testified several times that he saw a muzzle flash and heard what he thought were fireworks, but believes the flashes were from a woman. Did you see a muzzle flash? McDejian asked. Kelly says yes. He added, about the same time that the smallest individual got out of the car, so that must be Tory, it only worsened for Magdesian. Kelly said the small guy got out about that time all shouting. Kelsey said, after the smallest guy got out of the car, I saw more flashes. He stuck with his testimony that the flashes started with the girls, and he said he never heard anyone say dance B, which is what Meg testified Tory said before he opened fire. Kelly, I just want to be clear. I never saw a gun. I just saw flashes. And then he testified that the flashes were from the girl. But he also said, but they were all together. They were very close together. The short guy was very angry. He was making a lot of noise. He was making lots of noises. Thread breaks continues here. Magdesian kept asking Kelly about him previously telling defense investigator he saw Tory try to take the gun. But Kelly testified today that the short guy he saw stepped out of the car and he joined the fray. They were fighting. They were all pulling each other. Man, I gotta get like the court transcripts for this one. Oh my goodness. They were fighting. They were all pulling each other, Kelly said. Magdesian asked if he saw the shorter guy taking the gun from one of the women. Kelly answered, I never saw that. Kelly said the shorter guy was very angry and was shouting. He said the flashes came from him, but caution, I never saw the gun. So again, he's saying that he's never seen the gun, right, at this point, but he saw flashes maybe coming out of the women, maybe the flashes coming out of the guy, the short guy. Then exchange that made everyone LOL. Magdesian pressed Kelly about Tory trying to take the gun, and Kelly said, it's not like he said, excuse me, can I have the gun? It's my turn. Everybody laughed, and the judge had an amused look on his face as he waited for us to finish. Still, after this, Kelly repeatedly testifies that he believes a woman fired the first shot. I believe I saw the girl shoot first, but he didn't know she had a gun at the time. I believe it was fireworks. I said that they were both shooting, Kelly said. Magdesian asked who was the first shooter. The girl, Kelly says. But they were all fighting. The shorter guy was pushing and fighting both girls. Everyone was fighting, even the driver. That's when Magdesian asked Kelly, Sir, did you see the shorter guy with a gun in his hand? And Kelly answered, yes. Sir, did you see the shorter guy with a gun in his hand? And Kelly answered, yes. Then everyone started beating one girl. And Kelly said to me, it appeared that they were going to throw her into the river. It appeared to me when I was on my phone that they were trying to kill her, Kelly said. He said he heard the driver say the police were coming and they put the woman in the Escalade and left. Then came the cross. All that above is direct from Tory's lawyer. And dude, I'm pretty sure Tory's lawyer did not want a lot of this stuff to be said. So this witness is kind of like all over the place because he's saying that like, oh, you know, the women started at first and then it was the guy who like, you know, had the gun in his hand and like started shooting too. And like, it's all over the place. So, I mean, it is very curious to me because like, I think police only found 4 shell casings at the crime scene, right? So maybe if they had some sort of video or surveillance recording of the first shot being fired, and maybe at that point Meg didn't realize that that first shot was fired at her or towards her, and maybe like she was too drunk to even realize, and then later on when, you know, maybe, you know, that Kelsey, maybe, like, I don't know, the only thing I can think of is like, if there was some recording out there that had like one shot fired and then later on in the altercation, the other 4 shots were fired, then like, oh, okay, maybe it was like, what people were saying. Oh, Kelsey did it. And that's why she didn't want to, she didn't want to incriminate herself because maybe she was the one who fired the first shot. And then, but I don't know, man. Like, this is a shit show. This witness is just all over the place. But the fact that the defense called this witness, like, I don't know what they were thinking. This is so messed up. It's just so messy. Hi, no one. How are you doing today? How's it going? Hello. Okay, so this is oh man. This is direct examination. Usually direct examination, it's you call them up because their story that they're telling is friendly for your side, for, the guy that you're defending. But this it's just kind of all over the place. But I will say, though, that like when something happens and someone tries to recall, it's actually really tough. Because I remember this one time we were sleeping and in the middle of the night we woke up because we're sleeping in the living room. And, usually like we don't sleep in the living room, we sleep in the bedroom. So we both got up and we're about to go like move to our bedroom, right? Then all of a sudden we heard like gunshots, right? We heard gunshots. And then like for me, I just thought it was fireworks, honestly. Like I hear them so often. I'm always very dismissive of it. But then Dennis like, oh my God, wait, that's like gunshots. I'm like, really? And then he looks out the window and then I look out the window and then like we're trying to recall, like how many people we saw like running down the street and like what they were wearing and stuff like that. But like, it was really hard to recall that. It was like, cause like when we made the 911 call, it was just like, oh, like we heard the shots. It's like, how many? Oh, I don't remember. I don't know. A couple shots. Like, we just heard a couple. I don't know how many. And then it's like, okay, well, like, we saw like this amount of people running down. And it was like, well, it was like either 2 or maybe 3. Like, it's hard to recall these memories because like, while it's happening, it happens so quickly. So I do understand why there could be a lot of like inconsistent things from a witness, testimony. And also it's like in the middle of the night, maybe you're really tired and you're like, and then this trial happens like 2 years later, maybe you forget. And like, I don't know, man, like it's tough when you're witnessing this. It's tough to recall exactly the correct sequence of events and knowing the exact numbers and stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, and when you're like in a state of shock as well, like if you never actually witnessed like violence like this and you're not used to it, like you're just probably like, what the hell is going on? Oh my God, So it's I get why like when witnesses come out and their stories are kind of like all over the place, it's because it's tough to like recall this from memory. But yeah. Anyways. So this is where let's see. So that was pretty bad. Now we're going to have the prosecutors. They're going to do their cross-examinations. So prosecutor began by asking Kelly about his 911 call. He didn't report a woman shooting. He reported a group beating on a woman. Kelly said the shorter guy was very agitated and that had his arms outstretched. He was firing everywhere, Kelly said. How many shots did you see the short guy shoot? Prosecutor asked. 4 or 5. Thread breaks continues here. Prosecutor played home surveillance audio of the gunshots. Kelly testified about the shorter guy. He said, like I said, shooting. Afterward, the woman on the ground was kicking all the time. She was crawling and stumbling across the road. Prosecutor also got out of Kelly more details about the girl he believes he saw shooting. I see what appears to be a girl shooting into the car? Wait, so now they're saying that Kelsey shot into the car? That's when the shorter guy was with the girl on the ground. He was just yelling a torrent of AB. Prosecutor asked Kelly what exactly the short guy was saying, telling the witness there's no censorship in the courtroom. Kelly, a white man with what sounds like a British accent, answered it was all N-words and F this and F that. All this was directed at the victim, prosecutor asked. All of them. He was going crazy, was really agitated, Kelly answered. Kelly said the same thing about Tory in Recross. He was highly agitated, shouting, lots of swearing. Still, Kelsey testified again. I believe the girl fired the first shot. Prosecutor asked him, did that seem odd to you that the defense investigator started recording after he'd already made several statements? Kelly answered, the whole thing seems odd to me. Oh, man. So, I mean, this is not good for Tory, his team, his lawyers, because, yeah, even though the guy is saying that, like, oh, the woman fired the first shot, he's still saying that Tory fired 4 to 5 shots. And he said that he saw the gun was in his hand and his arm was outstretched. So not good. But you know what we needed to hear? We needed to hear from the driver. We needed to hear from Tory. They should have testified. Like, I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to know any better. But as a normal person looking in on this trial, like, we needed the driver's testimony. We needed Tory's testimony. And we needed them to give their version of events. Maybe they would have been like, oh, Kelsey fired the first shot, and then I took the gun, and I fired the other 4 shots. Like, I don't know. We needed to hear from their side of the story. But we don't. We don't hear it from them. So that was definitely, that's not good. That's not good for them because we need to hear the other side of the story. Because right now, like, if I was part of the jury, there's like so many, even though there's so many inconsistencies, there's a lot of holes in the story that could easily be explained by, okay, short guy gets slighted by a bigger woman. His career was being trashed. He was slighted. He gets mad. He like crawls through the middle, grabs the gun and starts shooting her feet because he was pissed at her. Like that story seems to make sense. All the other crap that they're talking about, like all this other inconsistencies, like the story is just not really fluid enough and it's just like not easy to understand. So we would need the driver to go up there and testify, and we would need Tory to go up there to testify. But maybe they don't want Tory to testify, especially because, maybe he is guilty at this point. Like before they found out that he was guilty, maybe at this point, like they were like, oh yeah, he's guilty. We don't want him out there. Like it's gonna, there's gonna be a lot more questioning that they're gonna get into his history and stuff like that. We don't want that to be out there in the public. We don't want the jury to know about that. Maybe that's what it was. Or maybe Tory's defense team was like, hey, this trial is like, it's actually like, there's so many crap that's happening that's like, that shouldn't be happening. Maybe even though if you do get a guilty on this, we can definitely win you on appeal because I don't know, maybe that's their strategy, but I'm just guessing right now. I do want to know, why is the driver not testifying? So driver's not testifying, and then we don't have, you're going to find out very soon. But yeah, spoiler alert, Tory Lanez does not testify. But if you have any other theories, let me know, because, I'm just like, I'm just coming with my own theories. And if you guys have anything else, like, that you guys are thinking, definitely share that with me. Another thing about Kelly, he said his concern that night was his son, not the people outside, and this was traumatic. Some of what he said jurors may know isn't true. The inside of the Escalade was not shot up, but his testimony became a real wild card for the defense. I'm back in the hallway waiting to go in. Let's see. Bizarre is definitely the word for it. The other 2 who might have testified about what happened that night are Megan and Kelsey, with Kelsey's September interview doing most of the talking. Kelsey also went to a bizarre narrative lining up with no other testimony, where he said he saw 3 people beating up on a 4th woman. He thought they were going to kill her. Regarding Kylie Jenner testifying for Tory Lanez, I'll make a not so bold prediction right now. There's no possible way. And yeah, spoiler alert, Kylie Jenner does not testify. Corey Gamble does not testify. Lanez could testify, but he doesn't. This trial is going to end real quick. Trial was on afternoon break after Sean Kelly finished testifying. The first witness of the trial took the stand again, Officer Rogelio Diaz, and confirmed he didn't ask Kelly who he thought the shooter was. Then the lead detective testified, Ryan Stogner. Oh, Ryan Stogner does testify. Okay, so this is the lead detective that Tory's defense team is going to accuse him of botching the case and like being incriminating towards Tory Lanez. And this is the guy that's like, he's been dismissed from the LAPD or something, or like took a leave of absence or something from LAPD, something like that. Stogner testified about his interview with Kelly. He specifically said he couldn't tell who was holding the weapon. Stogner also was the one who spoke with Megan 4 days after the shooting when she told him that she had been shot. So again, we're getting a lot of inconsistencies with the Sean Kelly guy, but okay. Tory's lawyer, George, asked Stogner if he asked if Megan had been intoxicated that night. Stogner said no, she's been at a party. He knew alcohol was consumed. He also asked if Megan had mentioned anything about George when explaining why she didn't report sooner. Stogner said Megan didn't specifically mention Floyd, but she had mentioned something to the effect of because police were shooting black people, she was afraid. Magnesium confirmed that she wasn't in Stogner's report. In cross, prosecutor asked Stogner who Meg identified as the shooter. Her friend, Tory Lanez. Stogner answered. Meg told police she didn't realize at first she'd been shot. She just felt pain in her feet. Stogner had neither Tory's driver, Jaquan Smith, nor Kelsey talk to him. Meg also mentioned some talk about money being offered by Tory. Asked how Meg was in the phone interview, the detective said she was very calm, somber, and I would say upset about the entire situation. One big issue remains. Will Tory Lanez testify? If he does, the judge says any lyrics or videos that relate to the case are fair game, which DA Alexander Bott says includes Tory's music video in which he's butchering horse feet, clearly directed at Meghan. Why would you do this? Why would you make a video about this? Oh my God, not a good look, Tory. Based on the questions Tory's lawyer George McDejian was asking just before the break, he definitely wants to put Tory on the stand, but he's worried about the little thing called cross-examination. Oh man, if Tory does testify, the prosecutor wants to ask him about the assault. So again, a couple months before the trial happened, there's an alleged assault on a love and hip hop star, Prince, in Florida. There's also talk about how prosecutors can address a diversion case Tory had that they say basically constitutes a probation. His lawyer keeps saying he wasn't on. Oh yeah, this is the probation thing. Because they're saying, remember how Meg was saying that like, oh, you know, the police can't know because I'm on probation. And then Tory's lawyer was like, well, Meg's lying because like, you know, Tory's never been, you know, he doesn't have any any priors or anything like that. So he couldn't have been on probation. So I guess we never get to know about this, I guess. The final witness for today was someone jurors heard from early in the trial, Randy Zepeda. So another criminalist, a criminalist with a LAPD crime lab who was called by prosecutors as a rebuttal for Lane's DNA expert. So we have Tory had a DNA expert, and then this is the LAPD crime lab. So this is when they talk about like the DNA being left on the gun or no DNA, and then like I think like the maybe the gunshot residue and stuff like that. But, okay. Zepeda answered yes and no when asked if he agrees with the expert's testimony that if someone fired a gun 5 times, they would leave DNA behind. There is also a possibility that you won't leave any behind, Zepeda testified. Zepeda said, we simply don't know if Tory Lanez's DNA was on the handgun that fired the 5 bullets the night Meg was shot. Zepeda also said he disagrees with the expert's testimony that one of the 4 DNA profiles on the gun has to be female. So that's what Tory's DNA expert said. I was like, oh, one of the DNA profiles has to be female. If a lawyer argues to the jury that the defendant's DNA is not on the gun, is that accurate, says the prosecutor. Zepeda answered no. He also said it wouldn't be accurate to say Lane's DNA was on the gun, which prosecutors haven't said. The highlight of the afternoon probably occurred after the jury left, and the prosecutor complained to the judge that Tory's lawyer McDejian said to him today, keep smirking and see what happens. The prosecutor said McDejian has conducted himself unprofessionally this entire trial. Prosecutor said McDejian said to him after his cross-examination of Sean Kelly, the neighbor, he said that McDejian has been muttering under his breath and regularly calling him names such as idiot and also something more offensive in chambers. Prosecutor called McDejian's conduct vastly inappropriate and asked the judge to admonish him, but the judge shrugged it off and moved into a discussion of exhibits and jury instructions. More to come on that. So that's a prosecutor, both prosecutors right there. This is Tory's dad looking all stylish and fancy, and this is his girlfriend, I believe. So they show up in trial like every day to support Tory. If Tory takes a stand, prosecutors argue it opens the door to discuss a range of things the defense wants off the table. Social media posts, rap lyrics, past arrests, August Alsina event. Is that the Prince event? Activity 1501 record label, a music video butchering horse meat, reference to Meghan. If it pertains to the case, it's not totally off the table, according to the Judge Hereford. Defense will decide whether Tory Lanez takes a stand by 8:30 a.m. Wednesday morning. I don't know. At this point, it looks really bad for Tory. So, like, could it hurt that he, like, testifies? I mean, I guess for, like, appeal stuff. Yeah. Good morning from Los Angeles, where Tory Lanez had decided today whether to testify in his own defense trial. Yeah, if anyone has full Tory Lanez trial transcripts, they would be providing a tremendous public service. I don't... Give us the transcripts, please. Oh. So on December 21st, this is day 8, Tory Lanez did not testify. He does not testify. Therefore, December 21st, this is like a couple days before Christmas. The trial is going to end early. So next is we're going to have some closing arguments, and yeah, the jury are going to go and they're going to deliberate. So what did I want to read here? Regarding the jury, imagine being forced into jury service at this time of the year. How horrible. Yeah, during holiday season. There was some movement yesterday. A regular juror was dismissed, an Asian woman who was maybe in her 30s or 40s, and an alternate moved in. The alternate is a black woman in her 50s, 60s. Describing jury reaction can be difficult. It's hard to read blank expressions, and many times the jurors are simply looking from attorney to witness. Lectern. Don't call it a podium. To witness stand. I saw the older black woman during exam, so when Kelsey took the stand last week and clammed up, saying she'd said things in her September interview that weren't true and she didn't see Tory shooting, I noticed the woman turned her attention fully to Tory's family. She was staring at them quite intently as they sat behind Tory in the gallery. She was looking from Kelsey to deputy to prosecutor in the beginning of the exam, but when it became clear that this was how Kelsey was going to be on the witness stand, she locked in on Tory's family. It's official. Tory Lanez will not be testifying. The judge took a bench at 11:15 with the jury not in and said that his understanding from Tory's lawyer is that Tory won't be testifying, calling him Mr. Peterson. The judge asked Tory directly if he knows he has an absolute right to testify. Tory says, yes, Your Honor. The judge asked Tory if he's considered his decision, and Tory answered, I have, Your Honor. Judge then confirmed with Tory that he's not testifying. I didn't catch Tory's full answer, but he clearly confirmed with the judge that it is his decision not to take the stand. I was in there when the judge read the instructions, but didn't take many notes. In federal court, I would be able to pull up the instructions, all the draft, but blah, 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 refused to let the public see the documents in this case. X-ray of Megan's injuries with bullet fragments are visible in the evidence. Yeah, so we already looked at that as well. Prosecutor gave his closing argument. He began and ended with what he said this case is all about. Meg. Jurors saw a PowerPoint slide with a photo of Meg and a quote from her testimony last week. If I would have known that coming out and speaking my truth would come with people agreeing with me being shot, if I would have known, I would have started to lose my confidence and started to feel like, damn, maybe I should be dead. Megan's testimony displayed for the jury. Deputy or prosecutor told the jury that after more than 2 years of this torture for Meg, it's finally time to hold Tory accountable for his crimes. I want everybody to really think back to last Tuesday. That's when Meg testified, prosecutor said. Prosecutor said Megan had her guard up when she began testifying in the morning, but after the lunch break, those walls came down. I think everybody in this courtroom felt the same that day. This is the critical question in this case. Was Meg telling the truth that afternoon? Prosecutor asked. I think everybody in the courtroom knows the answer to that question. Prosecutor displayed more testimony quotes from Meg and said, if you believe Megan and what she said last Tuesday, this case is over. We're done. If you believe Megan, that's enough. I wonder how much time he will get. He's facing 22 years and like 8 or 9 months, but I seriously doubt he's going to do that much. But yeah, a couple years maybe. A couple years and then like afterwards, ejected and like sent back to Canada. Yeah, I don't know. We're waiting for sentencing, but of course they're gonna do their appeal. Incredibly, but also predictably, closing arguments did not finish today. Tory's lawyer, Magdesian, was still arguing when judge ended court for the day. He'll finish the morning. The prosecutors can give a rebuttal. The jury will deliberate. Magdesian focused a lot on reasonable doubt in the beginning. It is not my job to prove innocence. It's the people's job to prove their case. True. Everyone is leaving courthouse now. I'll share more ASAP. There was a light moment for Tory Lanez today during his lawyer's closing. Magdesian referenced his height, saying he's, 5'2"? I don't know if he can even get over the door to shoot. Lanez laughed for a bit over that one. My gallery seat this afternoon gave me a view of the 6 jurors who are faced on the right side of the jury box when they're facing the well of the court, and each is a woman who seemed to have quite a stony expression as Magdesian spoke. They didn't appear to think he was funny. Regarding Magdesian's argument, he said prosecutor's case is full of holes, speculation. He displayed the instruction about reasonable doubt and the instruction that says if jurors think the witness is lying in key testimony, they should consider disregarding all testimony. Magdesian was talking about Meg, calling her by her legal name, and he prefaced his argument with a proclamation. This is an unfortunate case. Somebody got shot. Meg got shot. Magdesian said he doesn't deny she was shot. So it's good that they're saying that she was shot, and it's not like the whole, I step on a glass thing. Magdesian urged jurors to also consider what my client, as what he calls Tory, has been through the last 2 years. My client is being falsely accused. Meg Pete is a liar. She lied about everything in this case. Magdesian asked, why did Megan lie for 2 years about having a relationship with Lanez? And why would she lie to Gayle King about it on TV? How do you believe anything Meg Pete says, ladies and gentlemen? And keep in mind, reasonable doubt, Magdesian said. Again, I think she lied because, one, I don't think she expected that question to be asked, although she should have expected that question to be asked, or maybe, again, she had some sort of communication with her PR team and with Gail's PR team saying like, hey, don't ask this question, but she asked it anyways. But you can tell when she was asked the question, she was like thrown off, and you can tell she was like looking to the side, and she's like, oh, I don't want to answer this. And she tries answering by saying something else that like sort of answered the question, but not directly. But then Gail presses her even more, and then she ends up lying about it. I just think that she didn't want the world to know, you know? I don't think she wanted the world to know. And I think that, like, yes, she lied about that, and yes, it's bad. It doesn't look good. But I think just because she lied about that doesn't mean she lied about, like, everything else, right? Magdesian questioned Meg's testimony that she wasn't bothered that Tory was in a pool with Kylie Jenner. Again, this was corroborated by Kelsey and by EJ, the hairstylist. They said that, like, you know, Meg looked like she was bothered and, like, looked like she was getting a little feisty when she was, like, drunk and faded or something. Do you really believe that Meg and Pete wasn't super upset that my client was in the pool with Kylie? Do you believe that? Sketch artist, thread broke, continues here. Yeah, she got so much hate. I mean, she's still getting hate right now, but I think for the most part, it seems like the mass majority of the public do believe her. Magdesian said Tory Lanez was simply trying to stop the fight between Kelsey and Megan, and that Miss Pete was drunk and Miss Pete was acting aggressively. He also questioned why Tory hasn't been charged with assault if prosecutors really think Tory assaulted Kelsey. Magdesian went over how Sean Kelly testified he saw two women fighting and again cited Megan's unquestionable victimhood. Again, she's a victim. She got shot. Before questioning Meg's testimony that she has suffered over the last 2 years because of this. Magdesian cited Megan's Grammys and said that she's been #1 on the Billboard, but somehow she wants the jury to believe it's been so bad for her. You know who's been bad for? That man right there, Magdesian said, pointing at Tory Lanez as he sat at the defense table. I mean, you could have #1 on the Billboard. You could have like so many achievements under your belt, but things can still be bad for you. If the public is going after you, if like you're being defamed, people don't believe you, like that could still hurt you. So just because you're #1 and you want a Grammy or whatever the heck doesn't mean that you're still suffering. You can still suffer. That would mean like being rich, famous, and having all of that just cures all of your fucking woes and you're just going to be like instantly happy. No, people who are like really like famous, rich, or have a fuck ton of money and stuff like that, like they can still be human and still, feel bad about like other things. But yeah, anyways, we're on a 15-minute break after the prosecutor gave his closing argument. He began and ended. Wait, did I read this already? I did, right? Yeah. Was there something here that I wanted to read? Hold on. Good morning from Los Angeles. It is December 22nd, about 3 days before Christmas. This is Tory's lawyer, George Magdesian, is to finish his closing argument this morning. Prosecutor argued yesterday that Lanez shot Megan over nothing more than a bruised ego. And I don't know, man. I believe that. Actually, I do know. That's what I believe. I think he had a bruised ego. I think that's why he shot her. He wasn't trying to kill her or nothing or try to hurt her, but he was just trying to shoot her feet just to like, show her who's boss and shit, There's a holiday skeleton crew of media waiting at Lane's arrival. The judge trial schedule is allowed to have been a 3 to 5 day trial to stretch over 2 weeks and keep the jury there 3 days before Christmas. Yeesh. As explained in Law and Crime Network interview, should the jury convict Tory Lanez today, the judge Herringford is going to be under a lot of pressure from the prosecutors to jail him on the spot 3 days before Christmas with his family in the courtroom. If it happens, it will be a scene. Before the jury can deliberate, they're going to hear more from Tory's lawyer, who didn't finish his closing argument. Oh, this is rewinding a little bit. It's official. The jury is now deliberating in Tory Lanez's trial over the 2020 shooting. Meg has representatives in the courtroom today. Magdesian pointed them out in his closing argument, arguing why her lawyers was handing papers to prosecutors during her testimony, saying this isn't a civil case. The judge sustained prosecutor's objection. Prosecutor reminded jurors of a quote from Magdesian from his closing yesterday that I really should have included in today's article. This case is about sexual relationships. Prosecutor disputed that claim from Magdesian, arguing the case is about a shooting, not sex. Magdesian tried hitting on how Tory Lanez has gone through the past 2 years being falsely accused, when really he was just trying to stop violence between two jealous women, saying, "You think my client hasn't gone through what Megan's gone through?" I don't know, man. If we didn't have the text messages to Meg, if we didn't have the jail cell phone call jail cell phone call recording, if we didn't have the Nest cam of the gunshots, and then like I don't know, there's just so much that just doesn't really line up with Tory's story. It lines up more with what the prosecutors are saying. Even though there's been a lot of like inconsistencies, but like taking everything in consideration, with Judge Harry Ford sustained an objection from prosecutors because McDeejan is supposed to be arguing what he believes the evidence shows, and McDeejan never elicited testimony or entered evidence about what Tory's been through the last 2 years. McDeejan tried to be humorous and personal with 2 of the jury. There are 14, 9 women, 5 men. 2 of the women appear to be alternatives. McDeejan told them near the end of his argument, "My wife will tell you I love to get the last word." One thing trial strategists might say, McDeejan could focus more on the fact that Tory made that apologetic call to Kelsey when he was in jail and try to establish that he was hungover and miserable in jail to explain his apologetic demeanor. But we never heard that. Like prosecutor did in the closing, prosecutor 2 quoted Megan's own testimony in her own rebuttal. This whole story has not been about the shooting. It's only been about who Tory is having sex with. Prosecutor had a slideshow with the slide labeled "Not About" with a list underneath. Anyone's sex life, the party, LAPD. Prosecutor said regarding Kelsey Harris, the idea that she's a criminal mastermind, she's a terrible liar on the stand. She also went through key passages from Hollywood Hills homeowner Sean Kelly's testimony about seeing Tory holding an object in his hand when flashes were going off. Prosecutor said that when Tory and Megan were hanging out in July 2020, her fame was quickly rising. She was more successful. She was more famous than him. Tory was smirking and shaking his head at the defense table as she said this. Prosecutor said Tory had a massive ego and could not handle being disrespected. And when Megan had the nerve to walk away from him, he lost it and fired 5 rounds at her, later apologized for doing so. This is a straightforward case. Thread broke. Continues here. Oh yeah, by the way, people were passing around this verdict form thing, saying they're like, "Oh, Tory Lanez is not guilty. He's not guilty." So there was this like form right here where it was just like verdict, guilty, count 2. And then verdict, not guilty, count 2. But people saw the not guilty one and they're passing around saying, they're like, "Look, see, Tory's not guilty." The jury has reached a verdict in the trial of Tory Lanez for the 2020 shooting. We cannot tweet inside the courtroom. It could take about 20 minutes, at least from time we go into when we're able to get out. I will share the verdict in a separate tweet to trigger your notifications. Then I'll update this thread. A jury has convicted Tory Lanez of all 3 charges for the 2020 shooting of Meg. A crazy and downright scary scene in the courtroom as his father and stepmother screamed about wicked injustice. Tory's father stood up and guessed and screamed. Tory's father stood up, guessed, and screamed, "This is a wicked system." He screamed at the prosecutors that they are evil and they know exactly what they did here. Their job, I guess. His stepmother stood up, screaming and yelling. Father was yelling about Rock Nation. Tory Lanez was remanded on the spot, led out in handcuffs by sheriff's deputies. Oh man, I wonder if his kid was there. I hope not. This is kind of traumatizing if the kid was there. Probably not. Maybe not. There were 6 total in the courtroom, 2 at the door, 4 behind Lanez, and there was quite a scene when they tried to get Lanez's father and stepmother in control. Yeah, and this is like just a couple days before Christmas too. Oh man. Oh, poor kid. One woman in the gallery held up her hands as Tory's father was screaming about Rock Nation and wicked injustice, repeating, "In the name of Jesus." Again, I think like his father is like a minister. I think that's what they mentioned in that one article. I think his father's like a minister or something. Deputies were forcing them all out into the hallway and telling the gallery we had to stay seated. One woman turned and looked at the reporters sitting behind her, including me, and said, "Jay-Z is a beep. Report that Jay-Z is a beep." And I think because Jay-Z's record label is the one that Meg is on. I think. Right now, reporters are in the media area on the 12th floor hoping to get comment from someone. The 12th floor is the only area where we could record and take photos. I went outside to see what the scene is like. Lots of people, but Tory's family isn't around. I can't get back to the courthouse to go back on the 12th floor, but I'm sure if someone does talk on camera up there, it will be readily available and I can post it for the masses. People are a little rattled by the chaotic scene after the verdict. Lots of adrenaline pumping right now. Meg's lawyer has released a statement. "The jury got it right. I am thankful there is justice for Meg." This is from her attorney, Alex Spiro. The deputies were able to manage the scene. I heard Tory's father screaming, "Don't push me," but never saw a huge fight. It was very chaotic for several minutes, and we could hear Tory's father scream from the hallway. The deputies yelled at us to stay in the courtroom. Then we were allowed to leave, but as we were filing out, we could hear Tory's family in the hallway, and deputy told us the hall room wasn't clear. We needed to go back in the courtroom. We didn't get to leave for another few minutes. Tory's family's on the other side of the courthouse from the media talking with Tory's lawyers. They made it clear they don't want to talk publicly. Tory was handcuffed and led out of the courtroom by deputies wearing his powder pink pants, white turtleneck, and longish jacket. There were young children seated with Tory's family. One girl who appeared about 8 was crying as Tory's stepmother hugged her. Why are you guys bringing the kids in there, man? That's so traumatizing. Because when you're young, you don't know what's going on, but you're seeing adults yelling, you're seeing adults shouting, you're seeing one of your family members being handcuffed. Like, man, that's pretty sad. Someone remarked that LA Superior Court had about as many deputies for Tory Lanez as for HW. He's 70 in a wheelchair. There were 2 deputies at the door for Lanez's verdict and 4 at the door. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it, guys. Why is it on Twitter? It's because the trial was not televised. It wasn't like the, Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp defamation case, that the whole thing was televised and stuff like that. So that wasn't televised. It's not public. There's no leaking of court documents and stuff like that. So we had these reporters. Right now, this is Megan Cuniff. This is her tweets. She went in and she took notes, and then afterwards she would tweet about it. So we had to rely on 4 different reporters and their tweets. So that's why we are on Twitter. We on Twitter. What? People are crazy, man. I mean, I get the dad's reaction. That's his son. And it's possible that the dad really does think that the son is, innocent. Maybe the son gave his side of the story and it's believable. But you know what? We're never going to know because Tory didn't testify and we don't know from Tory's perspective what happened or the driver's perspective. So all we can go by is, a bunch of inconsistent crap. But at the same time, there's a lot of inconsistencies. But if you're trying to really put the picture together, it really... I agree with the jury. It really, don't look good for Tory. I feel like it. I don't know. I feel like even though it's not on them to, even though it's not on Tory and his defense team, I guess, to have to really prove themselves, what the prosecutors have to do is they have to prove that it was Tory that did it, beyond a reasonable doubt. And I think because of all the stuff that we saw, it seems like beyond a reasonable doubt that, that he did it. So, yeah. I don't know. I feel like they should have knew it. I don't know. I feel like they should have known that the jury was going to say that he was going to be guilty. But yeah, I don't know. He would have to go up there in the stand and kind of fill in the holes in the story. But I can understand why he doesn't want to. It's a mess. Oh man, guys, I'm so hungry. So yeah, we're here. That's it. And that was a long one, man. I was getting really hungry. But yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Let me know. We were able to get access. We were able to play the video recording of the shooting. We were able to play the video recording that Tory made to Kelsey. We were able to listen to parts of Kelsey's September, an interview with the prosecutor. So it still didn't look good for Tory. Yeah, you're welcome. If you guys missed this, don't worry. I'll post it on the YouTubes. Although I don't know. I don't think YouTube's going to like this video because, Have a good night. See you on Twitch. Bye, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate all the support and stuff like that. I am going to go eat because I am hungry. Oh, my God. I'm starving. But I do stream on Twitch as well. So feel free to stop by. Say hi to me on Twitch. The username is still the same. Corgi-san with 2 A's. I'm starving, man. I'm so hungry. And I ran out of water, too. I only have a little bit of water left. But I ran out of this water, so I had no hot water. I just have damn cold water on my desk. No! Ha! Overwatch. We'll see. Maybe we'll do some Overwatch. But yeah, bye! Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys later. Thanks for being here. Bye, Salvador. Bye, E. Bye, Patty. Bye, Blee. Bye, Joe. Bye, no one. And guys, thank you. Have a good night. Take care. Oh, yeah, that's, that's my Twitch channel. So feel free to stop by, say hi. Bye, Cecilia. Bye, Some. And I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much for listening. And I will see you guys in the next stream.